What's up guys, Coach Casey here at FitLab Studios. Today I'm going to break down the simple steps to get your first double under, or if you're just not that efficient at your double unders yet, we're going to fix that today. Let's go. Number one. So first we're going to measure the length of our rope. A very quick way to get a general sense of how long your rope should be is to put the rope under 1 foot and the handle should be about at your armpit. So for me, this may be a little bit short, but usually my arms are extended and long, so this is a good one for me. The next thing you want to think about is how thick your jump rope wire is. So if you're just starting out, the thicker the better most of the time, so that when we're doing our jump rope, you can feel the rope a little bit more in space. The lighter it is, the less that you're gonna feel it, and usually it's for the more experienced jumper. Number two. So number two, we're gonna be working on our jump. So a lot of times this is where a lot of people lose it, and they can't do a lot of double unders because they don't jump correctly. So when you get up into the 15 to 20 range, you start to get tired already because we're not efficient with our jump. So thinking about where we're jumping through our feet, just a nice soft bounce on the balls of our feet. Just like you're doing a jump rope single, nice and soft, nice and soft. The only thing that changes with the double under is we just drive a little bit harder. Body position stays about the same. So we don't want to see my knees jumping up, my feet piking forward. That throws our body position all over the place, and it makes it much more tiring to continue with our double under. So even if we have the rhythm of the rope, we're not jumping correctly. We can't get a lot because we're tying ourselves out in the end. On to number three, we're gonna be working our arms and our hands. So the key points here, I want you to think about are having relaxed shoulders. So I don't want my shoulders driving up, a slight bend in my elbows, and then my wrists are doing most of the work. Okay, so I'm not cranking around with my arms to get the jump rope moving. Most of the movement is coming through my wrists and forearms. A good drill to do to be able to look at your wrists and actually know that your wrist is driving the rope is to take about 6 inches from your handle to your hand, and from here, stare down at your wrist and make your wrist do that movement. Okay, so if you are focusing on the singles, nice and slow, and you can always speed it up a little bit and check out what your wrists are doing. Sometimes they freeze a little bit and we're not getting much action from it. So this is a good drill to just be able to watch your hands and make sure that your wrists are actually doing the movement. So when we move on to our singles, that's what's driving the rope. On to number four. So now we're gonna work on our singles with our jump and our hand position in mind. So to start, my elbows are gonna be locked into the side. The rope is gonna be just resting on the back of my calf or my Achilles. From here, I'm going to start with a slight movement of my forearms. I'm going to flick my wrist and jump over the rope once. Okay, as I get done with that first one, you can see a nice soft jump. My wrist did all of the movement at first, and all I'm gonna do now is continue to increase by 1 if I successfully do both of those things correctly. If my jump stays soft and my wrists are flicking the rope forward. So I move on to 2 and rest. I continue up the ladder until I hit 10 successfully, nice and soft and controlled. And our last one, we're moving on to double under. So if you could get through that ladder of singles from 1 to 10, now we're gonna move on to our double unders. We're gonna start with a few singles to get our rhythm down with our jump and our hand position. And then on our 3rd or 4th single, we're gonna throw that double under and just speed up the rope and increase our jump. Okay, so for our first one, we're going to do our 2 and our double under. Okay, so 2 to 3 singles, throw that double under. I only want 1, because if I jump up and my legs kick forward or my knees drive up like we talked about earlier in the jump, that double under does not count, okay? I want 2 to 3 singles, a perfect straight double under with good wrist, and then land nice and softly. Okay, so then as we move on to the second, same things apply. So 2 to 3 singles, then I'm throwing 2 double unders in a row, but body position should stay the same. Okay, so I have my first 2 double unders and I just continue to increase, making sure my body position doesn't get thrown out of place and I get those perfect double unders so that when I get into those higher sets, they're nice and efficient and nice and smooth. So a lot of common mistakes we see when we're working on our double unders that you may not notice. Your rope is failing, but you think you're doing everything correctly. One common mistake is when we're doing our double unders, our elbows start to move off to the side and that shortens our rope a good bit. So a good drill to do, if you're maybe videotaping yourself or doing it in a mirror, you can put and you notice your elbows are coming to the side, put a rag or just something that you can pin to the side of your body so that your arms don't float out. So as we do our double unders, that keeps your elbows in nice and tight. Two other things that you may notice is as you're doing your double unders, your rope may hit your toes, and if your rope isn't passing through but your body is nice and straight, it's most likely just rope speed. So think about doing your single unders with a little bit more speed to it, okay? Or maybe our jump just isn't high enough. So as we're doing our jump, do singles with a little bit bigger of a jump. Still getting that rotation with our wrist, but now we're just practicing having our nice straight body with a little bit higher of a jump. I also do recommend you either videotape yourself or do it in a mirror so you can see some of these faults.